Hey everyone, it's Maria, Solitary Witch Tracks here. This is my video for week 6 of the Pagan Challenge. So the week 6 prompt, I guess, or challenge is what cultures influence us the most. My kitty, she's so cute. Okay, so I have 3 cultures that influence me the most. Sorry, it's my jar. So yeah, there's 3. All of them have to do with my ethnic background, my heritage, per se. So I will list them and then I'll go into details into them. Okay, there is ancient Filipino shamanistic practice, mainly Ifugao, Native American spirituality, and then Viking Norse spirituality. The Native American and the Filipino are both on my mother's side, from what I know, and then the Nordics on my father's side. So I guess we will go into the Filipino shamanistic part. Actually no, I'm gonna go into the Native American first because that has a lot. That's like overbranching for me. Okay, so Native American practice. What I'm really influenced by in the Native American culture is respect for elders. I've talked. Kristen knows what I'm talking about. Invoking the Balance. She's very big into this too. The grandmothers, ancient wisdom passed down from women to women. And always remembering that your ancestors are there. Ancestors are a big word for me, especially this one of my ancestors. I call him Uncle, but he is from the Filipino part. But yeah, and so I do work my I do a lot of ancestral work. I pay a lot of homage to my ancestors. Also, I believe my main spiritual deity, I guess, I believe what a lot of Native Americans refer to as the Great Spirit, genderless being the force that connects us all, the force that lives within us and around us, and connects us all in like a spider web of being because we are all one. So that's a really big influence in the Native American spirituality that I take into, and with that though, I also view as the Great Spirit can be interpreted into other deities. So Freya, Thor, Apollo, they're all expressions of the Great Spirit. And so I also believe in those deities as expressions. And I also believe like the goddess and god expressions of the Great Spirit, but I also pay homage to them because it's easier to break it down, at least in my mind, it's easier to break it down as like Great Spirit, and then like, oh, it's a goddess and god, feminine, masculine energies, because that's what we see around us and we work with the most, and that's what we see in our deities. And so that's a really big influence from Native American culture. And then, of course, ancestors. There's Earth Warriors Festival in Ohio that I went to, I can't remember how many years ago it was, but I think the theme for that retreat was remember, to remember that we're all connected, and that the idea of not being disconnectedness is just what was it called? The things aren't real, that are optical illusion. Basically, it's an illusion. The idea that we're separated and you don't feel connected to anything, it's just an illusion, and you need to remember that you're connected no matter what you do, because it's there and you can't push it away, And so they had a sacred fire that was actually tended to by elder, and he created these really cool shapes of the logs, and he would tell us the different meanings behind like the turtle shape of the log or the snake shape of the log kind of thing, and staring into that fire, we'd give offerings to it, and then Chris and I would just sit in the fire, and you could just feel your ancestors there. You could feel them being there with you. You could just feel them inside, and almost even see them in the fog or something, in the darkness around us, and it was so beautiful. And we even we burnt tobacco, like actual tobacco leaves, inside the tent, and I guess invoked our ancestors, and we both started crying because it felt like home. We could just feel our ancestors there, and it really clicked for me, like this is something I need to really incorporate in my spirituality. My ancestral work. I just been in some sort of like non-realistic place some sort of a place of illusion, to think they were not there, but they were there. And it just felt so good. And so that was a very big influence in me and my spirituality. So I incorporated a lot more ancestral work, and that's actually how I met Uncle. As I said before, he is a native Filipino ancestor, and he just calls me Uncle. I just call him Uncle because, like, I don't know if you know about Filipino culture, but you call everyone your tito or your tita or auntie and uncle, even if you're not related. But you even call your uncles and aunts auntie and uncle anyways. So that's a term of endearment, and that's what he asked me to call him. So that's what I call him. I call him Uncle. And so I guess I'm transitioning to the Filipino bit of it. Filipinos, Native American spirituality are very much alike. They're very animistic. Both spiritual cultures are very animistic and very into herbal healing, and that's where ghost medicine comes in which you let the herb, the item, tell you what it's good for. And so I didn't realize I've already been doing this until Earth Warriors Festival. And I used to make a lot of sachets for people, and like pillows with herbs, or like dolls or puppets with herbs for various purposes for people. And I wouldn't really look up what they meant. I would just be like, look at this herb, or I hold it in my hand and be like, oh, this would be really good for such and such person. Or like usually I'll like make an herb or a sachet for either like for good dreams, for calming, for strength or courage, whatever that, for my friends. And I'll put the herbs that correspond with that, but then there'll be a couple herbs I pick up and like that don't really correspond with it normally, but I'll be like, this fits this person, they need this, I don't know why, but they need this. And so I'll just stick it in there, and then they'll always tell me like, oh wow, this is amazing, like this really works for me. And I attribute that to intuitive ghost medicine, letting the herbs speak to me. And Filipino ancient shamanic animistic Filipino culture is very much the same with herbs. And they also use fires, like the Native American culture, to create a sacred space. They'll throw herbs into the fire, not necessarily creating a circle or anything, but that creates a sacred space. And they also believe in everything has a spirit. The ground, the earth, the rocks, the water, the sky, everything has a spirit. But instead of like actual being just spirits, Filipino culture made those spirits gods. Sorry, my cat is chewing on my freaking SD thing, even though I took it from her and she came over here and started chewing on it. Okay, she's so cute though. But they attribute all these different spirits to deities in Filipino culture, and with Native American culture not so much. So, but that's where I kind of don't really adhere to in ancient Filipino spirituality. I don't attribute a deity to every single thing, but I do believe there's spirits and everything. And I do believe in the power of herbs, because my great grandfather, he worked with herbs, and so herbs are a big thing in my practice. I use them for everything. I use them for spells, I use them for comfort, I use them for whatever. My current favorite method of spell making is dressing like little tea candles with herbs and oils and then burning them until they're done. And so that is a really big thing. And then also what else? Filipino culture has like some crazy myth, like especially their monsters. I don't necessarily adhere to that, but they're really fun to talk about. So I'm gonna share one that really sticks in my mind because it's scary. I just think it's funny. But a lot of Filipinos have like this mythical beast called the tikbalang. It's a horse demon, and what it does, it eats people that if it wants someone with it, like if it's like I want you to eat, or I want your soul, or whatever, for some specific reason it wants you. So it'll target a family member or friend, eat that person, wear its skin, go into the woods and lure you out there and be like, hey, help me, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, oh no, my friend. And then you realize it's too long and you're like, oh shit, I'm dead, kind of thing. So I thought that's a really scary thing. It's pretty funny. But, yeah, a lot of Filipino culture is very, even though it's primarily Catholic now, has a lot of superstition in it. And that comes from the ancient spiritual culture. Also, there's a sense of pride, both in Native American and Filipino, ancient spiritual culture. a sense of pride. There's a Cordillera dance, which I used to dance native Filipino dances, and a Cordillera dance is you balance giant pots of water on your head, and the entire time you're looking straight. You're not looking down or anything around. You're looking straight. You have a look of pride about you, and you're dancing with this water on your head, and that kind of reflects the pride they felt, ancient, they still exist too, and it's actually really sad because I'm gonna go into a little spiel, but in Mindanao, which is a very bad island to go to, that no one goes to because there's a lot of war and violence there right now, and even Filipinos don't go there, barely, but yeah, and a lot of native cultures are being attacked by the government there, or by guerrilla fighters, and their land's being stolen from them, and so it's not very well known or spoken of, and it's really sad, and because some of these cultures are dying, and it's upsetting, but yeah, so those two are really, like, the Native American and Filipino animism spirituality are really, really close, which is surprising me because it's like opposite ends of the world, but both are very interesting. So those are really big influences on my life. And then Vikings coming out of nowhere from my father's side, because I'm not full Filipino, I'm half Filipino. My father's side is Germanic, Norse, all that good stuff, all that good European stuff, so a nice little balance. But I'm very big into Viking culture. I can't really, I'll find a picture and like insert it, but I have really big giant back piece dedicated to everything Viking. I really connect to Thor and Frigga, surprisingly, and Hel. Hel is very not as big as Thor and Frigga for me. Hel is very much for the wintertime reflecting. Her and Hecate kind of fallen together with me. But yeah, Hecate is my matron goddess, and she comes from Greek culture. I mean, she's pre-Greek, but just for the sake of it, Greek. So that's a little bit influenced, but with her, that's it. But I really connect to Thor because he is a deity of strength, and for me, he gets shit done. And for me, family is a very big thing, and like, I don't know, like if I feel like if I need protect my friends or family, I'm like, Thor's gonna back me up because I'm gonna bust some shit up in here, kind of thing. But his strength I really draw upon because I don't know, I feel like a strong woman. I feel very I feel very, it can be overbearing sometimes, I guess, but I don't know. Thor, I really connect to him in that sense of strength. And then Frigga, she is for me, she's very motherly, and she gives you that kind of motherly wisdom, and so I really connect with her on that level. And also, with Viking culture, it's very, has been misconceived and just screwed up, as things can happen in history. I mean, for me, Viking culture is, sticking to your guns for what you feel is right. Don't take shit from people, kind of thing. But also have reverence for the earth around you. Vikings were very big into their mythology, and everything was their mythology is based off of their land, which is why they were so tough and why they're so headstrong. And they also, believe in equality of genders, and, women should be strong too, which is really good, because I'm a very strong woman, in case you didn't told. But, what was I going? I did, for my undergraduate degree for, I guess, it's not called capstone, but it's our thesis for our undergraduate degree to get our BA. I did, how the land influences mythology, and so I did a comparison of Greek culture and Nordic culture, and the land in Norway is harsh. They have mountains, which are rock stone, can't do anything in the mountains. They have little patches of greenery around the fjords, and the winter is really long, and so it's really hard for them to grow things and stuff like that. And so death is a big part of their culture and their spirituality, hence hell. And like, if you read the Eddas, death is pretty much on the same thing. It's not viewed in a negative way at all. It's viewed as, an inevitable part of life. And I mean, necessarily like welcome it, kind of like, but they're like, yeah, you're gonna die, whatever. And so they cope with that, you know, with the idea of going to Valhalla, as, you know, if you die, it's okay, you're gonna die, it's whatever. And so that sense of balance of death and life is very big in my spiritual practice as well. And that pulling on that inner strength and reverence for nature is very big as well. Also, I guess I'll add this in there. Some Eastern religion, kind of Hindu, is a little bit of an influence, mainly because Shiva is my patron god, and yoga is very big in my practice. So those are my cultural influences, mainly Native American, shamanistic kind of thing, and of course the Norse culture. But I don't know. I feel like I'm not. I feel like I'm still balanced. I feel like I'm very well balanced in it, and that having these two different, they're almost very different kind of poles, but not really when you think about it, because Norse culture, they have their kind of, they're not called wolf women or something like that, but they have their, you know, sense of shamanism as well. And so I think that string of shamanism between all these cultures are tying me together and tying it all together neatly in a fine little package for me that I can pull from for my spirituality, if that makes sense. So yes, this is a long video, it's really rambly, but these are my influences, and it feels good. And also kind of goes with the wheel of the year, because I feel like, at least with Filipino culture and stuff, I feel it's like a very springy, summery feel almost, because if you've ever been there, it's hot. And then I really reflect on my Norse culture during the winter time, also during storms and stuff because of Thor. And every time I look at the sky, I think of Frigga because she weaves the clouds, you know. So those are my cultural influences, and I cannot wait to watch everyone's videos. I've been watching some, and it's just really interesting to see what cultures influence people. But yeah, you guys have a good week, and I'll see you again next week for week 7. Right. Blessed be, namaste.